G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
So, Andrew, thanks for agreeing to be on the podcast today. I thought I'd start off perhaps with you giving a little bit of an introduction to who you are and what you do.
Yeah, no worries, Rob. Thanks for having me on. So my name's Andrew Wilson. I run a business called Horizon Business Plans. A lot of what I do, as it kind of says on the label there, I'm a business plan writer, and I help small businesses to write professional business plans. And a lot of the reason for doing that is often to help either start or fund a business, or to look at growth avenues from there. That's probably the main reason people want to write business plans. They often don't write one for themselves unless they're told to by a bank or a funder. That's one of the reasons why I often see them writing a business plan.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, I guess. Do you find most business owners that come and work with you are looking for funding and needing to document the plan so they can have a credible conversation with a bank or an investor?
Yeah, look, it's very common. So certainly if they haven't written a business plan before, they'll go to a bank and have everything ready to go, but then the bank or investor might ask for a business plan. So then from there, it's time to get writing and often going away and writing down that business plan. That said, even if they have written a business plan before, it might be some years before and written in a different way. And that's certainly something that we'll talk to as well. What the differences are between a business plan that might be written for yourself as a business versus a business plan that's being put in front of a different audience.
Yeah, well, that's actually a really good point. And I suppose, before I get into the differences, maybe you can just tell me, what do you see as the benefits of having a documented business plan?
Yeah, sure. So certainly there's benefits of writing a plan, regardless of the purpose. So regardless of if it's for funding or not, that every business, it's helpful to have a business plan. There's that old saying of failing to plan is planning to fail, and it's very true. So often it's really important to set the direction that you are going in for your business, and thinking through all of the things that first of all you want to achieve as a business and the outcomes that you want to get from it, working out where you are now in that journey, and then plotting out the steps that are required to get there. That's essentially what a business plan is.
Yep.
And sometimes the journey of going through the planning process is actually more important than the end result and the end plan itself.
So true.
Because really, thinking it through, I always find with my clients coming out the other end of writing a business plan, they've got that clarity and that real understanding of how each of the different components of their business tie in together.
Yeah.
And then the clear direction of where they're heading. They can step off on surer footing.
Yeah, no, it makes heaps of sense. And I guess from my experience, potentially the other benefit is putting some numbers around your plan. So does this all stack up financially, and do our assumptions make sense when we actually have to quantify, how many customers we think we're going to get, or whatever the relevant metric is? Is that something you see as well?
Very much so. So the numbers are super important, both to understand, like you said, Does it stack up? Does it work? And sometimes it's just as important to find out if something isn't going to work early on than if it is. But even if that's the end result of the detailed numbers and the work that's involved in that, it doesn't mean end of story. It could just mean you might need to change tact or adjust pricing or find an additional revenue stream or look at adjusting costs to make sure that that's going to work and be feasible as a financially sustainable venture.
Yeah, sounds good. So I guess you touched on this before, but you mentioned there are kind of different types of business plan, depending on what the purpose is. Can you just elaborate a little bit more as to what you see as the key types of business plans?
Yeah, sure. So as with a lot of things, terminology is important, and a business plan can mean different things to different people. But the key ones that I would say for a business plan are you writing the business plan for yourself as an action plan to document, here's where I'm at and here's where I want to go and here's what I want to do with the business and is it feasible, all those kind of things? Or is it a business plan that is a requirement for a specific purpose? And those kind of things could be, a bank or investor or other funder requires a business plan. It could be a landlord for a potential lease application that wants to see what your business is doing. It could be a business plan that's required for certification for some specific purpose.
Yeah.
And in all of those instances, often the way that I like to think about it is it's less an action plan for you on how to deliver and implement your business. It's more so the way to think about it is it's almost like a business CV to really help your audience understand the fundamentals of why you're in business, what your business does, who you are, and why you're equipped to run this business, and is this a feasible venture that's going to work, and particularly from a funder's perspective, is it less risky for me to invest in you as a business, and the document needs to help show why that's the case.
Yeah, I think that's a really good phrase, which is it's a business CV, really, isn't it? Trying to explain what the skills and capabilities are of this business and where it's going and why it might be a good fit for whoever you're putting it in front of. So
yeah, definitely. It helps to give that angle of, this is okay. With that in mind, as a business CV, I now know that this is a presentation with a purpose to give my audience confidence in what I'm doing.
Yeah, really well put.
Be the change you want to see in your business. Become more productive and less stressed with our free Transform Your Performance online course. Once you see the benefits, put your entire team through the course at no cost. We start out by telling you the secret to guaranteed success, then over 100 lessons help you be more focused, present, productive, and feel more in control about work. growasmallbusiness.com.
So tell me, are there typical mistakes that you come across when you're dealing with business owners, perhaps who have put together business plans before that just didn't seem to hit the mark? Or I guess, typical issues that you come across when you're dealing with business owners that are potentially avoidable?
There's lots of mistakes. Business planning is one of those things that, it's, people often feel that it's like a big mountain to climb. And the important thing is starting and starting getting thoughts to paper. But one of the things that I find quite often is, particularly if it's a business plan that's being written for a purpose, so for the funding application, like we've talked through a little bit, people might download or are even given by the funder a business plan template, which has a lot of questions and a bit of structure to the business plan. and they treat that as a form and feel like they have to go in and answer each question in a form. Whereas I would view it differently. Like, this is your document. Some of the questions that are on a standardized template are not relevant for your particular business.
Yeah.
Those templates are more as a guide, and they should be used that way. So instead of sort of using it as questions to respond to, they should make sure that they're getting across all of the important information that makes their business tick and makes their business work. One of the key other things, and it often flows from that first issue of responding to a question, is that proof isn't provided. So it's sort of just written as a couple of sentence answers, but it's not backed up with evidence or firm data.
Yeah, really good point.
And that's really important. So it's important to show your credentials and that you've done the homework and done the research. And then you know what you're talking about, really. So it's important for wherever you're making a statement and wherever you're making an important point to explain why that is the case, and it can be backed up with data. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. There's a lot of data that you can find just by using internet search and Googling it, and that information can be readily found. But trying to make sure that you're including that information. Probably a third point would be on numbers that many business owners often overinflate the numbers that they're wanting to achieve. So I would tend to err on the side of conservatism, particularly for a funder. They want to see something that's realistic, and if you're putting in some numbers and and sort of making a claim effectively that you're going to achieve these numbers, explaining how and what the drivers of those claims are. So, for example, a cafe instead of just saying you're going to achieve $1 million in sales in the first year, the drivers behind that, what's the seating arrangements, what are the opening hours, what average order size is, all of those things to explain that number that I've come up with, that $1 million, is achievable by achieving these mini goals within it, those drivers behind it.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. So what would you see as the advantages of a business owner working with you as opposed to doing it by themselves?
Yeah, look, so for me personally, my background was in finance. So I was at a bank for 12 years, and one of my roles was in business banking, and I saw many a business plan in my time in those roles. So I understand what funders are looking for, and I like to say that I write business plans in bank speak, and so just knowing the things that are looking for, it can save time, it can save money, and save a lot of pitfalls, and put the best foot forward to a funder. The other thing is that writing a business plan, like I said, many people just feel like it's this big mountain to climb, and not know where to start. But leveraging someone that does this every day, you can get back on track pretty quickly. And there's certain things that need to be done and included in a business plan that helps put your case forward to your audience in a professional way.
Excellent. And so would you have any particular advice for small business owners regarding something that they could go away and implement almost immediately in their business that I guess would be a lesson from your experience?
Yeah. So, given we've talked about two different purposes for a business plan, it's probably worth thinking about something to take away for each of those. So, if you're looking for funding and need to write a business plan, I would suggest do start with a template. These templates are there for a reason because it captures the majority of information, but make sure you tailor that for your business and back it up with proof. So whenever you're saying something, say the reason why you're saying that as well. That would be my number one tip for a business plan for funding or putting in front of an audience. A business plan in general, just to map out your progress and your outcomes and goals. I would say making sure that you make a start and you go and do it. It's really important. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be 100-page document either. You can write a business plan in a few pages that really helps set your direction. And as I said, part of the benefit of writing a business plan is the journey as well, not just the end result. So making a start is really important, and dedicating some time to doing that. It just really helps to align the whole organization and set the goals for the future, so that you've got a clear roadmap for how you're going to get towards your goals.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, Andrew. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure.
And for our audience, we'd greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc., so more business owners looking for podcast help with their growth will find us.